Back on the Gianna Volpe Report, brought to you by Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street in Riverhead.
That's right. And actually, our guest that we have in the studio, Michael Evans, is 30 West Main Street.
We should have put a turnstile at the front door this morning. We could have made some money on it.
We have two in-studio guests this morning.
I know.
Have we done that before?
Yeah, we did.
Which time?
We did it with Kenny Lou as one of the guests.
Oh, yeah.
We had guests.
I loved when Kenny came up here.
Then we had what's her name, Lori Spitz?
Yes,
and there was another guest with her.
Oh, her, was that when her husband was with her?
No. I'd never met her husband.
He's great. I love
Never
that.
met him.
He recently shaved off his mustache.
No! How could you have the mustache brewer, the guy with no mustache?
Exactly for that reason, because he was sick of people saying, well, you could never shave off your mustache since it's like the... And he was like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, I can't? Watch this. And then they put it on the social media.
This is... I don't know. This did not get nearly the attention that when Keith Hernandez shaved his mustache off that it got.
Well, and
it should have.
I mentioned social media. Very.
Nobody pays attention to social media.
Many people do.
Nobody does.
I don't have.
It's all about AM radio.
It's all about AM radio.
That's right.
Well, what is it all about? Really?
I don't know, Alfie. What's it all about?
So Michael Evans is in the studio. He wrote The Real Matrix, which I have had the pleasure of listening to the abridged version on the YouTube several times this week. I've already shared it with my best friend and another friend who was going to something, and she was nervous about how people would receive her. And I'm like, you're gonna be awesome, you're gonna be great, none of this is real, it's all like none of it matters. And that's really what this book is about. And I was grateful to actually meet Mr. Evans while I was tending bar last week at Michelangelo's in Mattatuck. And it was sort of funny because it was like, I remember saying to him then, how funny is it that these things happen, that you meet people, blah, blah, blah. I'm just always interested in the coincidences in life and this self-compatibilist idea that fate and free will coexist and blah, blah, blah. Michael Evans, before I keep rambling on, good morning.
Good morning.
So thank you so much for writing this book. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to go the route you did and really what it's all about.
Well, it's a book that describes, in my own words, an awakening that most people are looking for in their life. And, people who are suffering in their life are looking for answers as to why. And I try to make it very easy, very simple for them to look at it the way I did.
Yes, so you have it in a bigger font, which is nice, especially if you're advanced in age or you don't read very often.
It was made for, I actually did that on purpose. I wanted people to have a sense of accomplishment, people who have never finished a book in their lives, or people who can go through a book and go through this book in a couple of hours. But a person who hasn't really read a book or, maybe looks at it on the shelf, says maybe there's something in here I'd want to see, or information I think I can get, but they look at it, the way a child would look at a big book, and to say I'll just go with something a little smaller. So I think it's packed with information that you can use.
It totally is, and I mean I listened to the abridged version, and it's like an hour, and I got so much from it. One of the things that I thought was so interesting, it was talking about basically a guy. It goes through the morning of, let's say, some gentleman who works in the city, and it talks about, waking up to some blaring alarm at 6, 7 in the morning. It induces basically the fight or flight mechanism that back in the day a wolf may have, awakening a human in their cave or wherever their settlement. And you were talking about cortisol. So what is cortisol, and how does it affect the body, and what triggers it?
Well, it's a stress hormone, and most people don't realize that they are triggering the stress hormone cortisol a lot of times during the day. It's a stress hormone, and it's released into the body. So I describe in the book how a person is waking up, suddenly from the sound of a crazy-sounding alarm clock, and the first thing they do is they reach into their phone and they start looking at their Facebook feed, and they're just seeing bad news. Even if it's a good story, someone's going to inject some poison into the conversation. You see it every time. And if you look down the page, the conversation has nothing to do with the post anymore. It's just bad news. Then you watch the news on the TV, and then you're watching more bad news. It's made to keep you in fear.
Right, and the other end is that you've got Facebook, especially. Really, it's not your friends. These are
Virtual friends.
Not even, they could be your real friends, but these are, it's almost like a person's personal PR company. These are images, designed to make people think that someone is rich, successful, happy. So you've got all of these like brushed up, grandiose, everyone's doing great, everyone's doing wonderful, everyone's smiling and on the beach and have their cocktails, and how does that feel if maybe you had a rough night, or everyone's struggling with their own something. But what the Real Matrix really does is show that if you're suffering because of these things or because of other people, it's you that's doing it to yourself.
Correct. Well, the good news about Facebook is the Facebook profile that people put out there is just an avatar of a person that they think that they should be. They're saying things in their Facebook feeds that people that they want to hear some type of adulation. They want to hear, yes, I agree with you, but there's always going to be somebody that doesn't agree with you. But the point is, it's what I call Facebook happy. And people have so many different avenues of social media these days, and each one of these is an avatar. But that avatar that they put out on their social media doesn't match the positions that they play in life. When they play mother, they're playing. They're not truly who they are. They can't say and do the things that they really want to do. It's the same thing when they're at work. When you're the subordinate of somebody, you're playing your position, and it's not who you truly are. And social media really accentuates that, because you're not who you are on there. Do you ever put out the, what really happened? People just put out the good things or the really bad things.
And then if you do, you get blamed. All
You're
right, so
bombarded.
we've got to wrap it up. Where can people get the book?
You can get the book on Amazon.com. You can get it on iBooks. It's available all over online, Barnes & Noble.
The Real Matrix by Michael Evans. Thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you.
We'll have you back.